Hi, my name is Dr. Jonathan Slater. Too many of my patients are just unable to obtain a kidney transplant as there are simply not enough donors. Thanks to advances in research, pig kidneys as a source of organs is becoming a reality. In fact, in 2025, there are 2 FDA clinical trials where pig kidneys are being placed into humans. Our hope is that this becomes a viable option to improve the life of many patients who would otherwise not be able to obtain a kidney. In the following video, we explain the exciting breakthrough as we now move forward into a new era in medicine.
Dr. PK, could you provide more details about the science behind xenotransplantation?
Certainly, Pam. A simpler term for this field is cross-species transplantation, a concept that has intrigued societies for centuries and has given rise to mythical creatures like the chimera and the sphinx.
Are we now able to transplant pig organs into humans to save lives with modern medicine?
We're on the brink of making xenotransplantation into humans a reality by using genetically modified pig organs, which I call GM-pig for short. To understand our current situation, let's review the key developments in treatment of end-stage renal disease, which we call ESRD.
Prior to 1970, there was essentially no treatment for patients with ESRD, and they would ultimately die from kidney failure.
In the 1950s, 2 promising avenues of medical research emerged to treat these patients with ESRD: hemodialysis and kidney transplantation. In the mid-1940s, Dr. Kolff created the first dialysis machine. The first 9 patients he treated with his machine all died within days, but the 10th patient survived. The researchers believed in this technology, and over the next 20 years, with continued advances, the modern era of hemodialysis was born. In 1972, a federal law made hemodialysis accessible to all ESRD patients in the U.S.
What about kidney transplantation as a treatment for ESRD?
Kidney transplantation has been a focus of research that got its beginning in the 1920s after surgeons discovered how to surgically connect 2 different blood vessels. After numerous failures, the first successful kidney transplant occurred in 1954 between identical twins. Complementary research on immunosuppressant drugs led to further successes, enabling human transplants between siblings and even non-related humans in the late 60s and early 70s.
It seems harsh, but many patients must not have survived as researchers learned more.
I'm glad you raised this, Susie. It's a critical issue. In ESRD research and other medical fields, we typically start with animal models to gather data before moving to human clinical trials. Approval for these trials requires scientists to present their findings to an external regulatory committee, which assesses their validity and justification.
With all the advancements in xenotransplantation, I'm really interested in the possibility of receiving a pig kidney. Are there any ongoing clinical trials where I could potentially be enrolled?
I'm glad you asked that question, Joe. It turns out that the FDA just approved 2 clinical trials for GM-PigX, which gives us optimism that patients like you could eventually be enrolled. However, these initial trials are in their early stages and will involve very few patients at first, so it's unlikely you would be part of this initial group. As the trials progress and include more patients, there will be greater opportunities for enrollment. Ultimately, we hope these trials will show this as a realistic and potentially better option for many patients with end-stage renal disease.
I've heard there have already been several cases where pig kidneys were transplanted into humans. How could this have been done without FDA-approved clinical trials?
Great question, Susie. Historically, medical research has conducted experimental treatments only in extreme circumstances and has been called treatment for compassionate use. In the 1980s, this process was formalized and called the Expanded Access Provision Act. This allows researchers to provide experimental therapies when no alternatives exist and after getting formal approval from the FDA. Regarding cross-species kidney transplants of kidney into humans, there have been just a handful of cases reported. In the early 1960s, Dr. Rimtser performed 13 xenotransplants of kidneys from chimpanzees to humans facing death from renal failure. All the patients died within 1 to 2 days, except one. She not only survived, but went back to work as a school teacher and survived for 9 months. Since then, there have been no further kidney xenotransplants into humans until 2021, which I'll discuss shortly.
I understand that the research now focuses exclusively on using pig kidneys as the donor.
Let's discuss pig kidneys. We genetically modify them, referring to these as GM-PigX, or genetically modified pig kidney transplants.
Researchers have made pigs more human-like through genetic engineering.
Over the past 20 years, we have been using the animal model, where we have baboons and remove their kidneys, and then use GM-PigX transplanted into the baboons. We've discovered that primates have high levels of pre-formed antibodies against a molecule called alpha-gal, which is found in all pig tissues. When a pig kidney is transplanted into a primate, this violent immunologic reaction begins almost immediately as the primate's circulating pre-formed antibodies target alpha-gal in the pig kidney, triggering a cascade of events with rapid inflammation, swelling, and tissue destruction.
So the GM-PigX have been modified to eliminate this molecule?
This genetic modification is called a knockout. The gene for alpha-gal is removed from the original fertilized pig cell. Once this fertilized egg develops into a GM piglet, we breed these pigs in special farms to pass on the modification to their offspring.
Is that the only modification?
No, we've identified other problematic molecules produced by pigs, as well as some they don't produce. Through additional genetic modification of the pig embryo, we can remove or add genes to pigs, which we refer to as genetic editing. Currently, there are 69 different genetic modifications across various GM pigs. Researchers have implanted GM-PigX into baboons and administering immunosuppressive drugs. We've seen remarkable success, with some baboons surviving over 2 years post-transplant. 3 research groups have developed different GM pigs for baboon transplantation. While they all share the alpha-gal knockout, their other gene edits and post-transplant immunosuppressive protocols vary.
That's fantastic. But why don't we use non-human primates who are evolutionarily closer to us as organ donors?
Researchers did use non-human primates until the 1990s, but the results were disappointing. Ultimately, pigs were found to be a better organ source for various reasons. Let's take a break here. When we return, I can explain why pigs are considered a superior option for xenotransplantation. We'll also review the kidney xenotransplants that have been performed from pigs to humans so far, and we can review where we stand with the newly approved FDA clinical trial for GM-PigX.